Hey, Bray, let's get into some Detroit Lions talk now,
Something
shall
worth
we?
talking about.
Lions, 3-point underdogs on the road in Baltimore this week. Tim Twentyman put up some ranking comparisons for how good the Lions offense and defense has been so far this year. They're scoring 28 points a game. They're giving up just under 19 points a game. This defense is solid. This offense is solid. Looks like they're going to get a couple of players back for this one too, Bray.
Definitely looks like they're going to get a couple of players back, Ryan, and they're going to need it. For what we talk about the Detroit Lions, the Baltimore Ravens are a damn good ball club as well. They got a quarterback that's always up for, and he's always in MVP contention, and he seems to be having a better year this year. You got a defense that's a lot better, Ryan, than they've been the last couple of years. They're actually playing some good defense 4-2. They're a really good football team. They're coming off a loss in London. They're trying to really stay ahead in their division because they feel Cincinnati is coming up. They lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a game they should have won. Look, this team they know they've dropped a couple they should have won. They know they're a good team, and they look at this game, right? They circled it. Detroit Lions are 5-1. They're coming here, and people are riding Detroit high, and they're riding them a lot. It's a great game to get on track. This is the Baltimore thing. It's a great game to get on track, beat them in a tough, hard-fought game. This is the type of game that really can give the Lamar Jackson and give that Baltimore team that type of cachet, that type of experience. Like, you know what? We are a really good team, and we can do something this year. Watch out.
Hey, Jahmyr Gibbs coming back. Brian Branch coming back. We spoke to Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun yesterday. He said the Ravens know what they're getting here with the Lions. They're going to try to be ready for them. But we said, I think it's a perfect time to get these guys coming back from London. They beat the Titans last week. This week is all screwed up for them. Bray, am I wrong about that?
No.
When you're playing in London, you're coming back Sunday. It's 6 hours difference. You're probably off Monday, but you're working Tuesday. It's all whacked out.
So I talked to my brother-in-law, Marcus Pollard, who's a friend of the show, son, my nephew at Michigan, Michael Pollard. Talked to Marcus about this a couple years ago because Jacksonville plays all the time.
Yep.
They're the team that's played overseas the most. He says it's tough for those guys to get their rhythm back. He said they're sluggish during a week of practice. By the time they have a decent practice, it's Friday already, and they're trying to go into a game, especially against an opponent like the Lions. The Lions are clicking on all cylinders, minus injuries. They're still clicking once they get into game time. So he said it's tough to get your momentum back. By the time it's Friday, it's already 2 days before game time. So it is a real deal in terms of playing over there and coming back here to try and get your rhythm and compete on Sunday.
And that's why they're giving the Jaguars, by the way, one game in the next 23 days for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got to get their body clocks right. You mentioned Brian Branch. Here's what Brian Branch had to say as we caught up with him. Matt Broder caught up with him earlier this week.
We still got a long season to go, and shoot, each game is going to be a tough battle, and I'm only even hungrier to get back out there and just prove everybody. So
He's like, I'm hungry. I'm anxious to prove myself again, and I'm looking forward to getting back out on the field, and I'm feeling good.
You know, it's pretty important to do that too. I mean, look, they missed him, Bray. They missed Brian Branch. He is not only is he an elite player already, he's a leader out there.
He's definitely been a leader
already.
He is. I agree with you 100%, right? You see his energy in those games. You saw him wanting to get back on that field against the Atlanta Falcons. You saw him when he got that pick 6 against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's bringing that energy. He's not surprised by what he's doing. I look at him too, man. Like, look at where he's coming from. He's coming from Alabama, and what did they do the last 2 years to Alabama? Challenges Alabama still have it. Challenges, are they still those guys? Do they still have the same type of players that they did when they were winning national championship? Now he comes to Detroit. Is Detroit really about that? Is Detroit at 5-1? Are they a real team? Are their players really real? Did they really strike gold in the draft with the players that they have? So I think he's coming from a place of doubt. Hey, he's coming from a place of doubt the last couple of years. Maz, who did not get drafted in the first round, stayed the night, still walked the stage when his name was called in the second round. It's Brian Branch. He is coming from a place of doubt, so be prepared for him to put on the show. I agree with you there.
Here's what Aiden Hutchinson had to say about this Lions defense, because as you just saw there a minute ago by the graphic that Tim Twentyman put out, giving up just 18.8 points per game. If you do that, you are going to give your team a chance to win more than not. Here's what Aiden Hutchinson had to say about this Lions defense.
Yeah, I mean, we're rolling, and this is this is what I think everybody envisioned, when AG came here and kind of, took control of this defense. And I think we're finally doing what's expected of us. So I think it's really exciting to see, and I think the fans are loving it. And so, we're having fun while we're doing it.
Anytime you have success, you have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And these guys, it's a lot easier to come to work when you're having that success than when you're not. And I think these guys love showing up to work every day and trying to get after it.
Yeah, I mean, look at Aiden's last year at Michigan. You talking about success and having fun, showing up to work and class, if you will. But the thing about it is now, Ryan, just looking kind of how the backfield is going to be. I know Jared Goff last week had a really good game, had 355 yards. He found that the offense definitely needed that. But that running game is a question mark. And Jahmyr Gibbs, although he's playing, we're excited. We want to see where the growth has been, what's going on. That now the defense, they got to step it up a little bit more. I might be wrong, but I believe with the running back game not being to where we believe it usually is, that's when the defense now has to get a couple extra stops. That's when the defense has to get one of those plays that could have been a really big play for Lamar or for that Baltimore offense. They got to make that play. Now, instead of just knocking the ball down, now maybe you get a pick. Now, instead of making it be a forced fumble and they recover it, now you got a fumble recovery to the house. You talked about earlier in the week, this is the perfect game for something funky to happen. It's what we talked about. This is the perfect game for something funky to happen. Defense knows that they got a little bit more on them to help out Jared Goff in that offense. And there's nothing wrong with that. When you're a good football team, it happens like that. Some games the offense has to help the defense. Some games the defense has to help the offense. In my estimation, this is going to be one of those days. Defense is going to have to bring it just a little bit more.
If David Montgomery was playing in this game, I bet you this game would be a pick'em. He means that much to this team. But to hear that Jahmyr Gibbs is ready to go and healthy, I do believe. I'm sticking with what my prediction was. I believe he'll be over 100 yards in total offense, and he'll score his first touchdown this weekend.
Because this offense has been great behind Jared Goff. Jared Goff, they're calling it the Goffense, right? I think that is so clever. Goffense for the Detroit Lions, and they are third in total offense right now, are the Detroit Lions, with Jared Goff leading the way. They are first in many categories. I mean, top 5 in every category for the Detroit Lions. It is something to see, and it is. Remember when you'd watch it was like the most boring game of the weekend, and you got stuck watching the Lions. It was just so boring. The Lions play the most exciting game of the week. Every single week. They get big plays. They make big stops. They're unpredictable. You don't know if they're going for it on fourth down. You don't know if they're doing this. You don't know if they're doing that. It's a fun freaking watch.
They've been flexed already.
Here you go. Here's a stat to put us all into perspective for Jared Goff and how well he's played. Patrick Mahomes and how well he's playing. The Bills, Josh Allen. You look at what's going on around the league. You look at these teams, Jalen Hurts. All these guys, the Brock Purdy's and blah, blah, blah. Oh, here's Tua Tagovailoa, who's had 70 points, and he's doing all this. Guess which quarterback out of all of those is leading the league in touchdowns accounted for? It's none of them. It's Jared Goff. He leads the league with touchdowns accounted for at 13. 12 passing, 1 he rushed for.
And I want you to hear from him as well. Here's what Jared Goff had to say about his own improvements, because this guy, there's quarterbacks out there that have bigger names than him. There's no doubt about that. But there are very few quarterbacks that are playing as good a football as him right now. Here's what he had to say about his own improvements.
Yeah, I certainly took my lumps and learned I learned what it took to lose, and how easy it is to lose if you don't do the right things, and how good our league is, and learned a lot about myself and grew through that, and I was able to overcome it. I got here after 4 years of starting, and now I'm in my 7th year starting, and I wish I could give you something specific other than just reps and just seeing things more than once, and being very familiar with what we're doing on offense and settling in as a player and getting better and maturing and learning and the whole thing. That's really what it comes down to. And I'd still like to think I'm relatively young in the league. I'm again in my 7th year starting, still in my 20s, hanging on to that for 1 more year. So it's hopefully I can look back at this point and say I've learned so much more 5 years ago.
Still in his 20s, playing his best football, and it's only gonna get better from here.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm so happy for him.
What you got for us,
Confidence,
Parker?
Bray. Confidence, man.
Confidence, which was help given to him by the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, and Ben Johnson. Man, they trusted in him, and Brad Holmes. They trusted him, and he's delivering, Parker.
somewhat worried about the Lions. I know, talking to people in my inner circle and talking about them with the Lions, they're worried that we technically haven't been tested. Well, apparently we haven't been tested playing the Chiefs. Apparently we weren't tested playing the Seahawks. Apparently we weren't tested playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Sounds like
last
Michigan's
week.
schedule.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you look at other teams that are at the top of the NFL right now, the Dolphins, they just played a team we just played in the Carolina Panthers. You know what happened? Carolina started to run it up in the first half. So if anybody's worried if this team might be frauds or if anything, the Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that says it enough.
Parker, let me help you out with that, and I'm going to help the team out. Let's stop caring about what people think about the Lions. Let's stop, outside this city, let's stop caring about what people have to say about the Detroit Lions and what they have to do to show up and prove to them. First of all, who are you? Like, you're never going to give us credit.
I think they're getting a lot of love, though, no?
But I'm talking about the naysayers. What I'm talking about, that's what we're focusing on now, the naysayers. That's what Parker was talking about. They beat Kansas City, but they didn't have Chris Jones and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Okay, they played him at that time. That's what the given game was. Well, Lamar Jackson, they're just coming off London. See, that's going to be the excuse once we beat the hell out of the Ravens. Once we beat the Ravens, it'll be they're just coming from London. Once we beat the Chargers, it'll be Brandon Staley's on his way out the door. They doesn't have control. It's not Herbert's fault. Once we beat blah, blah, blah. It is going to keep going. So we just got to keep rolling and keep rocking and rolling. Let the Detroit Lions keep piling up these wins. Because eventually, when you realize the Detroit Lions are for real, it's going to be too late because they're going to be Super Bowl.
For Goff, too, I think it's so important. When the Rams traded him, it was like they were throwing him away, throwing him in the trash.
It was a low point in his life, probably.
Absolutely. Going from L.A. to Detroit, a Super Bowl appearance to the worst team in the league, a first-year head coach leaving this offensive genius. You were being thrown away in the trash. But then there was somebody that believed in you. Then there were a couple of people that believed in you. Brad Holmes never wavered. This is my quarterback. Then Dan Campbell came along. And then Ben Johnson said, I could work with this. You no matter what you do in life, if you have somebody in your corner, if you have somebody that believes in you, man, that goes a long way. And that's exactly what's happening with Jared Goff right now. I expect him to have a big game too. With Montgomery out, I expect a lot more responsibility on Jared Goff's shoulders as well, and he can absolutely carry that weight.
I was going to say, I agree with you. And Ben Johnson and Jared Goff kind of put that offense together since they've been there. They worked on this offense together. That's why when you say Goffense, I'm like, it makes sense. Like, he was the guy that helped Ben Johnson put it together.